BT and Sal, listen, guys and gals, I obviously understand that skepticism is unfortunately a big piece of the puzzle in the world here. I understand it, and I understand why the merits of debates and debating whether or not Rodgers is going to make it back from this crazy injury that seemingly he might actually come back from. All right, that I understand. Usually a year, it's a different medical procedure. Skepticism, that makes sense here. What I don't get, though, Sal, and I'm starting to get a lot of this. I'm seeing it on social media. I'm starting to hear it on the radio. I don't understand how somebody who thus far has emerged as an unquestioned team leader who has, even though he barely played, has off-the-charts football IQ and acumen, has come across as so selfless and so giving and so uplifting. How is Aaron Rodgers? Can you explain to me how Aaron Rodgers being around, just being around, is not a good thing?
Because it shows how pathetic the New York Jets franchise is. Now, let me just say, BT, I love Aaron Rodgers, okay? I loved everything about him. I wanted him here. It was the right move. He got hurt, okay? And I will admit, his presence has helped this team. But I think that shows how pathetic they are. His presence has helped more than the head coach himself. Everybody's dying for Rodgers to come back because the quarterback can't hack it. So that is why when you look at Aaron Rodgers and the Jet fans waiting for him to potentially come back and holding out hope, whether it be the end of this year, whether it be relying on him next year, it's wrong. The best case scenario for the Jets would be to establish a head coach that knows what he's doing, which they don't have, and have a quarterback which knows that he's doing, which they also don't have. That's why you're clamoring for a guy who's only taken 4 snaps for your team, who's injured for the year, and expecting him to be some sort of savior.
See, I think it's very unique to the Jets. Because the Jets have had such a history that we are all intimately familiar with, unfortunately. Rodgers gracing us with his presence. I can only speak for myself as a Jet fan. To me, it's uplifting. I'm going to use that word again. Like, it really is. I said at the end of yesterday's show, I'm like, who are we to chastise this guy when all he's done is expressed affection for a franchise that people generally run away from?
Right.
Like, how do we not embrace that?
Well, I'm not going to chastise him. I'm going to chastise them. It's pathetic that the Jets need an injured player to be a leader. Like, why can't the head coach do that? The head coach is supposed to be doing what Aaron Rodgers is doing, galvanize the team, bring them together, be the leader. The quarterback is supposed to be competent. Now, I know it's a backup quarterback, and he's still learning here. So, to me, it's more about the head coach even than it is about the quarterback in this spot. But because Zach Wilson ain't it, or hasn't proven to be it yet, you're hoping that Rodgers comes back so this team can be competitive, whether it's the end of this year or next year. You think about what you're relying on. He already got hurt. Like, that's it. It's time to move on. Even if not beyond this year it should not continue to be about Aaron Rodgers. And that is what it's about. And that, to me, shows how pathetic the Jets are.
But let me ask you this. So it shouldn't be about Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so he's got his weekly spot on the McAfee show. He gets his 10, 12, 13 minutes there. Obviously, whatever he says makes national headway. You see him flicking some 12, 15-yard spirals on Sunday before the game. That's going to get a lot of run on social media. And, then you get the gratuitous shot. He's on the sidelines now, so you get a couple of camera, a little booth interaction. But once the games start, Aaron Rodgers, outside of maybe providing some intel or whatever correspondence he might have with Hackett or Zach or whatever, he's a non-story. So
he's the story.
No, he's not. Once the game starts, the Jets' defense is the story. Unequivocally, it's the Jets' defense.
Oh, Rodgers is the story.
How, though? I'm legitimately curious what you mean by how. Once the game starts, how is Rodgers the story?
Oh, they're cutting to Rodgers on the sideline.
So what?
Oh, look at the impact he's had on this team.
They're cutting to Taylor Swift during games. What's the big damn deal?
Rodgers
At least cut to a guy who played.
Rodgers has had more of an impact on this team than the head coach has. I mean, think about it. You said it yourself. He's galvanized the team. I said it yesterday. I admit it. Rodgers had more of a presence than I thought he would, even being injured. But guess what? That's a problem.
Okay, but if now listen, because we certainly share the same concerns, you and I, and I think most Jet fans do, about Salah's upside.
By the way, I ran into a guy on the subway today.
Yeah.
And he's a big Jet fan.
Okay.
And he's like, how could BT...
What?
He goes, how could BT believe in this team to go to the Super Bowl and all that stuff, and at the same time say he doubts the head coach? And I'm like, you know what? I'll ask him today. And here we go. We're talking about Saleh right now. We agree that.
See, the show's so popular, it just goes into the subway cars
hit
now.
Up on the subway.
Yeah, we're getting hit up with questions. My answer, the defense is that good.
Right.
I mean, that's really the short answer. Listen, I'm not a huge Robert Saleh fan. You know that. But, by the way, big fan of the show, moderate fan of the show.
No, he was a big fan of the show.
Nice. Okay, so I look at this and I say, Sal's not wrong because I believe it as well. When the game's moving fast, do I call the timeout? Do I go for a kick? Do I punt it? Do I go 4th and 1? All these things that head coaches must process immediately, not to mention the 2 or 3 steps they must incorporate before they even happen.
Right.
I don't have great faith in Robert Saleh at all there.
And
I don't.
Don't you think?
I admit that.
And not to make this just about Saleh, but I think it shows like the impact that Rodgers had. If this were a different circumstance with an established head coach, no nonsense guy, full control of the team, thinking 10 steps ahead, all that stuff, has control of the offense, the defense, I don't think you would need that impact from the quarterback. Now, from the injured quarterback, no less. I'm not saying it's hurtful to the Jet team because Rodgers, even being hurt, has been an asset. But it shows the bigger problem with this team that the head coach quarterback combination isn't good enough. And Jet fans are hoping, I know you caught up in the moment of the defense and blah, 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 and 3-3 going to the bye week is all good. But ultimately, you see Rodgers flinging it on the field. You're thinking, hey, maybe he does come back before the end of the season. And now we could really start to have full belief again.
Sure.
That to me shows that you don't really trust the quarterback, which is a big problem because there's a long way to go if Rodgers does come back. And I don't think he will this year.
We'll get to that more coming up.
A long way to go for that. And then the other thing is the impact that he's had on this team, which has happened. It's a fact. Rodgers has had a positive impact on this team. He, it feels like, is the one who kind of, when he came back and had his presence felt, kind of galvanized the team.
I agree with that.
But that's a shot at the head coach.
It might be, but you know what it is, though? I guess I don't care at this point. Like, if Aaron Rodgers is able to close the gap of deficiencies, whatever they may be with the head coach, which I think we all admit, I'm signing up for it. Like, if a guy who's basically 40, has seen everything, has a great, affection and admiration for the OC, for the young quarterback, everybody on the team loves him. Like, he's the OG, he's the Jedi. He's, to me, that is a really good thing. Now, I know that you know that Rodgers and what I just described is good.
Right.
I want to make sure your concern is Saleh, and that it almost illuminates a weakness with the staff or with the coach, which I agree with. But if Rodgers can close that a bit, I'm all for it.
It's not even a concern. I just think this proves my point about not believing in this team as being legitimate. There are weaknesses there, significant weaknesses, specifically with the head coach and the quarterback. And the fact that an injured Aaron Rodgers, who was taking exactly 4 snaps, has to be the savior without even being on the field, to me, shows a fundamental problem, a foundational problem with this organization. They are so pathetic, and I hate to use that word because it's very harsh, but it's true. They are so pathetic that they're relying on a 40-year-old out-for-the-year quarterback to be a mentor, a coach, a leader, even though he can't play, which is why he's here.
Did you say out for the year? Just check in.
He's out for the year, no, bro. I'm sorry. I don't want to doubt Aaron Rodgers because I do truly love him, BT. I got the T-shirt up. Like, I love Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. And I also love that anytime somebody says he can't do something, oh, yeah, screw you. Yep. Like, I love that mentality. Gotta respect that.
I know you do.
But like, I don't want to get into the whole science thing. Unless that injury is not what we thought it was, realistically, he's not going to be able to come back this year. And even if he does come back this year, I feel like he's not going to be what he needs to be as far as health and mobile and all that stuff. And at his age, maybe he injures it further and then damages next year.
Those are all things we'll hit. Again, pertaining to now, I love it. He's an asset, and I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. 877-337-6666. BT and Sal, good morning, everybody. All right, let's get to you as we set up shop inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Mike out east on the island. What's going on, Mikey? How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing? By the way, you guys are awesome. By the way, I love listening to your show while I'm driving around working.
Thank you.
Thanks,
great.
Mike.
And Sal, I got to disagree with you here. A player is brought in to be a leader, playing on the field, off the field. If Derek Jeter got hurt, by the way, he would still be a leader in the dugout, correct? So this gentleman is walking around being a leader on the sidelines while he's hurt. If it brings him up a little, it brings him up. There's nothing negative about it, and there's nothing negative about the team. The coach is the coach. How many games is the coach going to win or lose to you? In football, it's a little bit more. But, in any sport, it's actually the certain player that brings the team up. Harper's bringing Phillies right now.
He's playing.
They grabbed the team. But I understand he plays, but even if he's in the dugout, he got hurt, he would still be out there. The team would feel, if he wasn't there, the team would feel lost maybe, saying, he went down, now we have no shot.
I don't know about that. And by the way, I'd have to check with Jeter when he was hurt. I'm pretty sure Jeter was away from the team rehabbing. Like, this is a rare situation here where a guy suffered that type of injury and like weeks later back with the team making his presence felt. And I'm going to agree with you, Mike. There is no negative in what Rodgers is doing and what Rodgers has brought to this team. The negative to me is that it shows how weak the foundation is, that the Jets need him to be as impactful as he has. On the field, yes. Off the field, he shouldn't have to have that much impact on this team.
Let me ask you a question. We all obviously strongly surmised and expected that Aaron Rodgers would elevate this team and make them a better team. Okay, got hurt, didn't happen yet. But in a weird way, do you think that Aaron Rodgers can help make Robert Saleh a better coach?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so then how is that a bad thing?
Because you shouldn't have to have that.
I get you, but that's almost besides the point.
Now, again, like, there's different ways to say that. I think Rodgers has helped, which in turn has made Saleh look better. Do I think Rodgers is going to help him game plan to a point where Saleh is going to understand offensively? No, I don't. I think Saleh just looks at the defense, and that's it. And let's get, Saleh is the type of head coach that's kind of letting, whether it's his kicker make a decision for him. Yeah. He's going to trust his coordinators to make the decisions for him. Hey, should we do this? Should we do that? Like, that to me shows a problem. Rodgers being in your organization makes the organization better. So in turn, he's going to make the head coach look better. But I don't think Robert Saleh all of a sudden is going to figure it out offensively because he has Aaron Rodgers there.
Yeah. I mean, we've all had those moments, those inner moments, those anticipatory moments where we expect something great, right? Maybe it's getting in a school of your choice, like your number one target.
Yeah, like for me, I got in Suffolk. When I got into Suffolk on Long Island.
Lucky you got your GED, right?
You're not kidding.
Trust me, the academics were secondary for me as well. I was more concerned about being on the diamond, but so I got you. But, for those who really are in tune with academics, and, they're striving for whether it's Ivy or a tick below Ivy, and they don't get in. The moment they open that envelope, or I'm sure it's digital at this point, I mean, that thump of emotions that just, bang, it just hits the ground. You need an elevator. You need something to get you back mentally right and where you were before you got the bad news. And I really think that Aaron Rodgers is exactly the elixir that this Jets team needed, because the emotional wave, and again, we'll get into whether or not he's going to play or we think he can play a little later in the show, but the hype and then the fall was so precipitous that if he abandoned them, I really think that the team would die. They would die.
But that shows how pathetic they are. You need a foundation that should not be relying upon any singular player, especially one who's taken 4 snaps with this team and is now having a serious injury and is at 40 years of age. Like, think about how weak that foundation is. The whole thing was built around him, and it fell apart. And him being a part of it now, even as a bystander, has helped. But ultimately, it's not going to be enough. They need him on the football field, and that's not going to happen this year.
How about Jake on Long Island as well? So LI's popping early. What's going on, Jake?
Hey, first time, long time, big fan of the show. Listen, I don't think Saleh is the greatest coach in the world. He's not going to be Belichick out-coaching every other team, but I think he's a true leader of men. And I think he is what the Jets need. With an Aaron Rodgers, they get the job done.
Yeah, but eventually, Jake, you need, this league is more offensively oriented. I do agree. He's a leader of men. Nobody's sitting here disputing that, because if he wasn't a leader of men, the deficits now, yes, we can quibble why they always, faced with deficits. We get that. And that's been a big part of the equation so far with the 2023 Jets. But teams that are always in a hole, if they didn't believe in the man, and that's separate from what I'm saying about me trusting him 2 minutes ago, timeout, go for it, punt, all that stuff.
Like, to be
that really matters. Right. I'm not trying to minimize it. It matters. But the fact that they always rally speaks to, I think, how they view their coach. They follow him. They do.
Let's play this out. If Aaron Rodgers weren't a part of the equation, Or even if he is, let's just say he comes back this year, Jets win a playoff game, whatever their ceiling is. Comes back next year, Jets have success, get to the postseason again. Maybe they even get to a Super Bowl. Great defense. Rodgers at 40 years of age leads them to a Super Bowl. Then he retires. Then what?
Well, at that point, the Jets organization
Do you trust the foundation is my question. No Aaron Rodgers. He's retired.
I'll tell you why I do. First of all, it's exponentially more attractive to everybody outside of the building as a possible destination. The jokes are completely over, like the punchlines. And as Rodgers leaves, either in a year or two, he leaves behind a locker room full of young, ascending, battle-tested studs.
Oh, God.
No, you can groan at that all you want.
What about the head coach?
No, but forget about Saleh for a moment.
But
you got to police yourself at the end of the day. You have to learn how to police yourself.
But you're going to be left with, the point is when Rodgers, because right now everybody's looking for him to be the savior, even though he can't freaking play. He can't play right now. And by the way, whether I think he's going to come back or you think, the facts are he can't come back and play anytime soon. Okay? He's out. He's out of the equation.
I get it, but that's not what you just asked me. You asked me in 2 years when he's... Okay,
right,
go ahead.
I'm playing the hypothetical. If Rodgers comes back, and I give you a good hypothetical, the foundation that they have without him isn't good enough. It's showing that now that they're without him right now, they're still relying on him to be some part of the solution. And he can't even play, which is what he was brought here to be. It means that the foundation is false. It's a house of cards without him, without the possibility of him.
You're leaving out one vital aspect, and that is the very real, not even potential, because it would absolutely happen, the growth of the other guys that would then almost obscure his absence, provided you have good quarterback play, of course. But like the young guys are watching him, wow, look at how this dude rehabs. Wow, look at how this dude's locked in. Wow, look at how this guy comports himself as a pro. And that feeds into them. And then in 3-4 years, Sauce, Garrett, AVT, provided he ever gets healthy, those guys, they then assume the baton of leadership and they pass it down. And now you know what you have? Now you finally have a good organization.
I think that
instead of the occasionally good team.
I think it could have happened had he been able to play and for multiple years as well. And right now, that's not the case. And if you could fully function without Rodgers, then let's see it. Trust that defense. Go out there, be big boys. Let's see Zach Wilson develop. Let's see Robert Saleh bring him along.
Yeah.
And then when Rodgers comes back, then it elevates you to another level. I don't think that they could get there.
All right, 877-337-6666. It is BT and Sal on the Fan. A little Rodgers stuff out of the chute. By the way, you heard us kind of dance around it. We will absolutely tackle this hard today. Forget about, at least for a moment, his presence. That's one big part of it. Is this guy going to actually play? We'll get to that coming up. BT and Sal on the Fan.